As we approach the end of an extraordinary year, we have a show packed full of Together TV's favourite activities and personalities, plus a generous helping of festive cheer. This is Christmas Together. Hello and a very warm welcome to the show. We're all about changing things for the better, and we could all do with a bit of that this year. Along with some fabulous and familiar guests, we're going to be celebrating Christmas with everything you need to feel great. Coming up, we'll have DIY, plants, crafting, and even a bit of exercise. It's been a challenging year for so many people, so grab a copper or maybe something a bit more festive, and let's support each other as we spend Christmas together. The show's packed full of Together TV's favourite activities and personalities, not to mention more Christmas cheer than Santa, Rudolph and all the elves put together. A little later, we'll be finding out how you can save time and money, not to mention making your house that little bit greener with Dave Wellman. First though, it's time to get on our bikes and ride as we welcome Danny John Jules and Steve Keys. Danny is, of course, the star of Red Dwarf and Death in Paradise. Steve is a motorcycle entrepreneur, and it's their shared passion for bikes that brought them together as the Easy Riders. Danny and Steve, it's great to have you here.
Thank you.
Lovely, isn't it?
Can you come and do all my introductions?
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
He always gets my name wrong.
Oh, lovely. Now, you've both been on our screens on motorcycle adventures, both here in the UK and abroad. What's it all about? Do you love it? What do you love about biking? Tell me.
Yeah, it was interesting. I kind of bumped into him by default at the motorcycle show in, I think it was in Birmingham.
Yeah, and he's been following me around ever since.
No.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I mean, you know, the thing is, I'm a fanboy with certain things. You know, motorcycling, I was, and I bumped into Steve, who was obviously involved deeply in the motorcycle industry, and that's basically what I did, I was following me around and just...
Well, if you remember what actually happened, you walked up to me and you said, someone's told me you're the sort of guy that would be happy to build me a pink motorcycle.
It's true.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's such a community of bikers, isn't it? So is that how you met?
Yeah.
But it
just
must
literally.
feel like this year you've really had your wings clipped, not being able to travel the way you do.
Well, it's put a damper on all of the motorsports, as the broadcasters are finding out.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to try and get excitement in a stadium of 60,000 people that would normally be screaming, you know, at their favourite races, and now there's nobody there, and they've still got to perform, and they've still got to go around the track at 200 miles an hour, risking their lives at this time in front of nobody.
We had a great plan, didn't we? What we were going to do. Danny's written this great stage show about Sammy Davis Jr. So he's written it, I've produced it. We did a little tour last year, went really well, so we thought, do you know what? Let's tour the UK, but do it on our bikes.
Yeah.
We send the crew on ahead. We were going to turn up at the theatres, put the show on,
exactly.
pack up again, ride to the next one.
I love the way how you've been so creative in the lockdown.
You have to be, because, you know, the business has changed forever. I mean, you know, it's never going to be what it was, and if one doesn't diversify, we're going to be stuck back there with the business that no longer exists.
This is it, you have to adapt,
We have to adapt, and so if it meant getting on your bike, you know, so be it, because at least with a one-man show, I'm just the one man. All I need is a microphone and a CD.
Now, what I love about your shows is how everyday people do amazing things in their local communities. From your point of view, what have been your favourite standout moments?
Well, do you know what, actually, you're absolutely right, and we've met so many people, and it's been so diverse. Whenever we roll into a town in the pink suits, people generally pick up on what's going on. But I have to say that probably the people that I met that were the most passionate and involved in their local community was during our trip. It was called Two Wheels, One Love. We went over to the Caribbean. Oh, God, yeah. And we went initially to Guadeloupe, where you filmed Death in Paradise.
We filmed in Guadeloupe, where we did Death in Paradise on set and stuff and around that, and then went over to Dominica from there, which is where my parents are from.
But the interesting thing was, I'd been trying to get a ride in the summer for 10 years, or whatever it was. Every year, he was doing Death in Paradise, so I said, we need to go somewhere warm. So he said, well, come over here.
Let's go to this, that's where we started the ride from there.
Fantastic.
So guess what happens when we get there?
Go and tell me.
few days beforehand, the hurricane comes.
Hurricane Maria.
No!
And
we were there.
ripped everything apart.
Nightmare.
We were there before any TV station.
We were okay.
We were there with a film crew.
Goodness me.
Yeah, we
So-
decided to plough on, didn't we?
We
And we
ploughed
headed
on.
over to Dominica.
Yeah,
and
and-
we ended up in Danny's home village, I call
Yeah.
it, where his dad lived at
My
the
dad's
time.
village.
And
Galleon.
Galleon. And we got up there, although the road was closed. Do you remember that trip in the back of that open
We went
pickup?
up there on the back of a flatbed truck.
Yeah.
Right. And you're talking about when you look over the edge, it's like, you know, a quarter of a mile down.
Yeah.
And you're
Goodness
like-
me, it's risky.
And the road was pretty much missing most of it.
Yeah, and those guys, it was nothing. They were just sort of standing
Yeah.
up, you know, rolling fags, and you know. Sort of, meanwhile, all of us
We're all
got
clinging
sound
on.
and Howard sitting on a generator in the back, you know. And we ended up drinking macaque wine, didn't we, while we was going up there, because we thought we may as well.
We may as well relax.
not?
We're not driving, so
Yeah.
let someone else do that.
It's better to drink than be scared.
But we got there, and these buildings, most of them, pretty much
Yeah.
wiped out. But there was a guy called Marcel,
Marcellus, yeah.
Marcellus, yeah, he took us under his wing and he said, "Come into my house." And when he said,
Yeah.
"Come," there's no roof on it.
So basically,
That had gone.
Basically, he
Yes.
said that when the hurricane hit, you know, he was under the bed with this virtually newborn child.
Yeah.
Yeah, while this hurricane, as he said, was swirling his fridge around the room. And then this fridge was outside. He said, he
been
don't know
sucked
how
out
it
the
got
door,
out
yeah.
the door, and it was outside the house, and we filmed it. I mean,
You
it's
just
there.
can't imagine, can
Yeah,
you?
and so everyone was like, we don't know if that's for real, until we met the second lot of people that
Yeah, yeah.
who were
3 kids.
3 children.
3 wonderful
There you go.
children.
Well, guys, just before you go, can you sum up Christmas in one word?
Yeah, for me, togetherness.
Ah, I love that.
At me, a little bit more exotic, ensemble.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, thank you both for joining us today. Thanks to Danny and to Steve. Now, back to music and Gary Williams.
Yay!
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I've brought some corn for popping. The lights are turned way down low. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Oh, when we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Oh, when we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. The fire is slowly dying, and my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Thanks, Gary. He'll be back before the end of the programme. Don't forget, Together TV is bringing people together this Christmas online, and you can join other viewers in the chat. So get involved by leaving a comment to share how Christmas is going where you are. OK, many of us have had extra time on our hands this year, and maybe you've been thinking about using yours to catch up on some DIY. So how do we tackle those common projects around the house in the safest and possible way? And as we save money by making our own home improvements, how do we make our houses a bit greener? Well, a man who can help is Dave Wellman, star, of course, of New Home DIY. Welcome, Dave.
Hi, Ria, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. Are you well?
I'm very well.
Fantastic. Now, you're going to be helping us with some odd jobs around the house and things that might have broken. How do we fix, say, a leaking tap?
Leaking tap, you can see I've got a nice selection of things here.
Yeah.
Leaking tap, normally due to the washer. That would be
Right.
the first thing to go to.
OK.
Now, we want to turn the water off first.
Good tip.
Because if you take the top off of a tap, the water's going to go straight upwards.
And ruin your kitchen.
So,
okay.
little check valve you need to find there, little isolator valve.
Okay.
That turns the water off. If they break, which they sometimes do, you can then turn the stopcock off, and there are 3 selections of different stopcocks to look for, normally under the sink, kitchen sink.
Okay.
So once you've got that off, you need to get into the tap. So you take the top of the tap off, and inside the tap, you'll find the body of the tap, which is just like this here, and the washer there is on the bottom.
It's so interesting because I always assumed there was just one type of washer, but in your box there you've got lots of
All
different
different
ones.
sizes.
Okay.
Because we have, these are basin taps, so basin in the bathroom, sink in the kitchen. Sink taps, normally about the same size as a basin tap, bath taps bigger.
Okay, so
Yeah.
one to watch out for there
So
then.
yeah, just identify the right size, you can measure it, and then go for the right washer, which will be that one there. You unscrew the old one, and you'll see it's probably damaged. It might have a little cut in it or something which will let a bit of water leak through, and then screw the new one in.
And it's just like that.
Yep, and
That's
then do it all
straightforward.
back up, and you should end up with the tap looking like that again.
Fantastic. Now, helping us go green at home is something you're very passionate about. Have you got any tips to share with us? How can we go greener at home with it not literally costing us the earth?
Indeed, costing is the problem, isn't it? But insulation is one of the things that you can deal with if you haven't got it, which most people have, because the government have been helping everyone to insulate their lofts. But do remember, you still need some ventilation up there. Quite often people stifle all the little ventilation areas, and then you end up with mildew in your loft.
That's a good tip.
So
What
you're-
else? What other ways?
Other ways, things like light bulbs. That's a very simple one.
Yeah.
Money-saving idea with nice low-energy light bulbs. But I would say don't replace them until they're broken. Don't throw away good ones.
And what about gadgets? You know, are they worth investing in?
I think so. I love a gadget.
You do love a gadget though,
I've
don't
got
you?
plenty of gadgets. The obvious one for most people is the combi drill driver.
Okay, so we should all have one of those in our house.
Yeah, a battery-powered drill driver is a wonderful thing to have in your house. And other things I like are little combination tools that help you do things like Allen keys, doing up Allen keys. As long as you have a combi set that has got a whole raft of different sizes in there all together, then you won't be
You're good
losing
to go.
individuals.
And is there anything that we shouldn't attempt to do? Because I'm thinking electrics are a no-no.
I would always steer people well away from electrics.
I hope my husband's watching.
Simple things like plugs are good though, you know, changing a fuse, because there'll be lots of Christmas lights around at the moment.
Oh, and Dave, how are you celebrating Christmas this year?
At home, with family.
Good. We'll have a Merry Christmas. Really useful tips there, something we can all benefit from in the new year when we finally get round to finishing all those projects we started over the holidays. Of course, if you need help, you should never feel that you can't ask. It's one of the key messages of this year's great winter get-together with the Joe Cox Foundation. They're encouraging every one of us to do 5 things this winter: to thank someone who's helped us, to show someone we care with an act of kindness, to reach out to someone we've lost touch with, to understand more about how loneliness can affect us and our communities, and to help one another. You can find out more on the Together TV website. After the break, we'll have more music and some top winter tips for your plants and gardens. See you then. Welcome back to Christmas Together. We're all about changing things for the better, something we all definitely needed in 2020. We'll be hearing more from Nadine Wild-Palmer and Gary Williams very shortly, but first, gardens give us so much pleasure and can really help with our mental well-being, indoors and out. And whilst it might be cold outside, that doesn't mean you can't still think about your garden. You just have to bring the outside indoors. And someone who knows all about that is the former Programme Director of Kew Gardens and now Eco-Business Director at the Field Studies Council, Philip Turville. Welcome, Philip.
Hello, nice to see you.
It's lovely to have you joining us here. As I said, it's absolutely freezing outside, but we can still get some pleasure from our plants indoors, can't we?
Absolutely, huge amount of pleasure. I'm here with these gorgeous houseplants. They're so lovely to
Absolutely beautiful. What is that one called, by the way?
This is a poinsettia. It has little flowers, but these beautiful red bracts, which are brightly coloured.
It's absolutely stunning. And this is a traditional Christmas plant, is it?
It is, yes. It's become it's got a home in our hearts for thousands and thousands of people. It's a really lovely plant. The trick is with the watering of it, though, not to overwater it or underwater it. Just in the middle is where you want it.
Well, this is the thing. My house at Christmas is like the Sahara Desert. I always overheat my house. So how do we avoid killing our houseplants?
Well, the first thing is to have a good look at the pot. So if I take it out of this pot here, have a look at its pot, I like to get my finger and I like to get it in there. And if the first inch is a little bit dry, then I give it a water.
Right.
If it feels moist, I leave it alone. Step away.
And just reassess after a couple of days.
That's exactly it.
That's such a good tip.
Just a little bit. So just pour a little bit of water on, less is more. Just keep it ticking moist, and it will perform very, very nicely all festive period.
Fantastic. Now, nature obviously can be a brilliant source of hope, especially in these tricky times. What kind of things could we be planting now that we can enjoy in the spring and summer next year?
You could plant trees, flowering shrubs, lots of seeds. Oh, it's actually a remarkably busy time of year. One of the things I love to do is go out to garden centres, go to local parks, find shrubs that are flowering. There's Saracocca, there's Himalayas, there's Skimmia, there's Daphnes, there's huge, lovely shrubs with brightly coloured bark. Oh, they're gorgeous. They just need to be cuddled. And even if you don't have space to grow them yourself, you can still enjoy them, maybe even buy someone a New Year present of a plant.
That's a good idea. And you touched on seeds there. That's obviously part of the Together for Good campaign. So tell us how to plant seeds and talk us through that campaign.
OK, well, the campaign we'll be able to register for your own seeds, to grow them by yourself, with your family, hopefully with your friends in due course, so you can get your own seeds. Winter's a great time for picking seeds and imagining, dreaming, if you like. Sitting back on the sofa at Christmas, what shall I grow? What vegetables would excite me? What flowers are going to go for it?
I'm loving your enthusiasm, Philip.
I love it.
I really am.
It's such a good time of year.
It is. OK, so let's get stuck in. Let's plant some seeds.
So what you need is, firstly, you need some gorgeous compost. I've got some lovely peat-free organic compost here. Oh, it smells. it just feels nice. It smells good. This is what you want. This is the good stuff.
Okay.
So you need a tray. Now you can get proper trays. These are widely available. Okay. Or this is what my mushrooms came in for my lunch a couple of days ago.
That's a good way to reuse things you already have in the house.
Things. Yeah, very important. Few drainage holes. So I was with a responsible adult, so I put a few holes in the bottom. And the thing is then just to fill it with a bit of compost. So I'm going to pour it in. Keep going.
Loads.
Oh, yes. And give it a bit of a shake. Wipe it off the top. And then give it a nice solid surface. And then, really important, tap, 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 tap.
Oh, and why is that so important?
Just compresses the compost a little bit.
Right.
It gives the roots a better, kind of something more to get into.
Okay.
Because you don't want it too firm, because the roots can't go in. Right. You don't want it too loose, because the roots won't go in there.
Okay.
But just in the middle. It's a bit like the watering a poinsettia. Light touch.
Okay.
And then what you do is get your seeds. Now I've got some lovely lettuce seeds here, which are really nice.
Lettuce seeds, right.
They grow really well.
Okay.
There's all sorts of things you can sow at this time of year.
How long do they take to grow?
Oh, well, it depends. They'll germinate in about a fortnight.
Right.
And then they'll grow little leaves and they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you can harvest them. You can grow your own sandwich. It's also part of a Together for Good campaign. Small, little, short-term actions that can just lift one's spirits.
Fantastic.
And in this case, fill a sandwich. So they're absolutely lovely.
You put them in there, then?
You put them in there. So I'm just going to put a few in my hand here. And then do a little shuffle. And just tap them in. I'm just going to do this nice and evenly. In they go. Tap, 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 tap.
And
tap,
you just
tap,
spread
tap,
them
tap.
all around.
Just spread them all around. You don't have to be too precise about it. Don't overdo it, just a few in there. Pop the rest back in your seed packet.
Okay.
And then sprinkle over soil like a little bit of Christmas snow. Tap. Water it from the bottom up, just so the surface is moist. Leave it.
When you say water it from the bottom up, so am I putting water here
You're just
and sitting it in there?
That's exactly
right,
it. So if you get a little
okay.
plate or dish, if you've got one, fill it with a little bit of water, it'll soak up to the surface will look moist. Leave it at that.
Fantastic. And where do we put that? Outside, or would we keep them inside?
Indoors for this time of year.
Right, while
nice
it's warm.
bright windowsill, yeah, nice bit of warmth.
And then when will it be ready to put into the ground?
Oh, well, you can either harvest it as small little leaves in a few weeks' time, or you can keep them going, repot them, feed them, and then replant them in about March time.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Lots to look forward to.
There's plenty to look forward to. It's well worth browsing the seed catalogues and getting excited.
Well, Philip, I'm asking everyone today, what does Christmas mean to you?
Well, this Christmas I'm going to be snuggling out with my partner Catherine, and then we're going to go outside and plant a tree on New Year's Day.
Oh, lovely. Well, thank you very much. Thanks, Philip. Now, as you know, since March, people across the country have been offering their time to provide vital support to others in their local area. Volunteers at Woodgate Community Food Bank in Leicester have been doing just that.
Because Leicester has been in lockdown the longest and basically only been out of lockdown maybe a couple of weeks since March, people have felt very overwhelmed, very confused, very out of control. The stress of losing people has been horrendous. I mean, I've had bereavements in my own personal life this year. It's just a horrible thing to know that you're not going to see these lovely people again. I suppose that the aim for the mutual aid group setting up was that when we heard about the crisis, there was a lot of people who just wanted to help. They wanted to do their bit. The whole philosophy behind mutual aid is neighbours helping neighbours.
The effect of the pandemic is massive. For me, it's been a struggle. The lockdown, trying to find your way with 2 kids alone, it was really, really tough. But working here, you realize just by sparing like 2 hours of my time, I'm making somebody happy. Somebody gets to eat what they like. Somebody gets to talk to someone. There's this sense of fulfillment I get from doing it.
People are learning to be more mindful, to properly look at their whole life and make changes. Wherever somebody wanted to volunteer, we didn't want to lose that goodwill. It was whether we could see if there was a place for it, whether it was telephone befriending, door-to-door shopping, medications. I know for 100% that not just myself but my volunteers, we have literally saved lives.
The little things that we do goes a long way. Doing this in particular, volunteering, I can't begin to tell you how lovely it has been, especially working with the amazing people here. It's just a way to get your mind busy, and then you know you're helping someone. It gives the best feeling ever. Yeah.
In just a moment, we'll be doing some Christmas crafting with Wendy Turner-Webster, but before that, here's our very own Nadine Weil-Palmer, and this year she's been reading what you have to say. Over to you, Nadine.
Thank you, Ria. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Over the course of the year, I've heard from so many of you. It's been a difficult year, but what's really shone through is the importance of reaching out and staying connected. Maureen says that what's got her through is her daughters calling or popping by every day. And Lee got in touch to say thank you to the customer who made him a special mask to stop his glasses steaming up. So remember, this is the time more than ever to keep in touch with one another. Ria, back to you.
Thank you so much, Nadine. And Nadine will be staying with us for the whole of the programme, helping us stay connected and exploring what Christmas means to us all. Now, spending more time at home this year has led to a huge boom in crafting. More people are sewing, stitching, knitting and sticking than ever before. It's really good for our mental health to have projects to focus on. So if you're a bit bored of jigsaws and fancy giving something new a go, here's Wendy Turner-Webster to show you how. Welcome, Wendy. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Ria. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're very welcome. Now tell me, Wendy, why is crafting so important to you?
It's important to me because it's a natural mood lifter, and I do suffer from depression, so I know the benefits firsthand of being creative.
Yeah.
And also it does give me a further sense of satisfaction if I take really ordinary everyday objects which may have been just chucked in the bin or the recycling bin, or, you know, found in some dusty corner of a charity shop, and I do something to give it a new lease of life.
Yeah, you revamp it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And how helpful is it to have a practical project to focus on?
I think you've hit the nail on the head with the word focus, because that can be a real sense of having that me time, that kind of being kind to yourself philosophy, by just, say, you know, having an hour in a day where you can focus, not think about anything else. Self-esteem then, because you can see the fruits of your labour.
Yeah,
you know,
I imagine you get
productive.
I imagine you get a real sense of achievement from when you've made something yourself. Talk us through what we've got here, because we've got some lovely things.
Okay, well, we start at your end with the photograph frames, and there's a mirror in there as well. And they started off completely plain, and the decoration you see that's flat on the frames is actually paper napkins. So you get some beautiful designs.
You can, yes.
Too good to wipe your mouth with, you know. So I put the napkins on as a backdrop, and then you can see there's a lot of smashed china and stuff on those.
It's a good way to reuse them, isn't it?
Well, it is really. You know, you might find something in a charity shop maybe that's chipped, or you've probably got something that's chipped, or, you know, or if it's still intact, you might want to do a project and smash it.
So these are all bits that we can use and find from around the house. And what's next? What's these here?
So moving along, I think we're all going to have empty jam jars, coffee jars, you know, any spread, peanut butter, whatever. But I'd just take you through what I've done with them. So the one closest to you it has actually got a popcorn plastic wrapper wrapped around it and then put in the oven, so it shrinks onto the glass.
I see that now.
Yes. And the next jar has had a sock put over it.
I did think that was a sock.
Yeah, that was a sock, and this one's a matching sock here. But these ones are just kind of scraps of material and some garden string that I had. But this is one of my favourites, the one here.
I love this.
Yeah, it's got a very nice brooch on there, which gives it a bit of zhuzh. But I'm most pleased with the paper on it, because that was a utility bill. Where, I don't know if I paid it or not, but it's a utility bill with a cold tea bag.
Oh, to stain it.
To stain it,
right.
Put on there. So kind of, you'd have to look pretty hard to know that came from British Gas.
Well, you'd never guess, you'd never guess. And tell me about this seahorse here that's got jewels and seashells on it.
Yeah, and the
lovely.
sea glass, yes. I mean, I had like 2 weeks in Cornwall and just obsessed with looking for sea glass. But I think even if you haven't got much sea glass, most of us have got, you know, a jar of shells or odd bits from the beach. And
our trips from the seaside.
Yes, and it just stays there on a shelf, you know. And this is a good idea, because if you cut out a piece of card to any shape, you're going to get them on the internet, you know, the template. So it could be a heart, a seahorse, a starfish. But because you are following the pattern of the cardboard, you actually can't go that wrong.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to end up with the shape you want, just how you arrange the shells and the bits on top.
Well, there's some great sources of inspiration here. Wendy, I love this time of year. Tell me, what does Christmas mean to you?
Okay, it means to me 2 words, roast potatoes.
We do love roast potatoes.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today. And crafting will be part of something very special called Together for Good, which will launch in the spring, and it'll encourage us all to get involved in new hobbies and make them a habit. Now, lots of people have been feeling isolated and alone this year, and it's important to remember that you're not alone. Since March, we've been running a campaign to reach out to people who are vulnerable, helping to develop connections with others who are in the same position. Like many, we want to inspire positive change and to address the anxiety and stress that isolation can cause. We've met some amazing people doing amazing things to support our communities right across the country, and later on we'll be sharing some of their stories. But right now, Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without music. It's such an important part of this time of year. So now, to sing live, please welcome the star of Rat Pack in the West End and one of the best voices of his generation. We're thrilled to have him with us to spread some Christmas cheer. It's Gary Williams. Woo!
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all, with those holiday greetings and gay happy meetings when friends come to call. It's the happiest season of all. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be parties for hosting, marshmallows for toasting, and caroling out in the snow. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. Long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be much mistletoeing and hearts will be glowing when loved ones are near. It's the most wonderful time, yeah, the most wonderful time. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Thank you so much, Gary. By the way, if you're watching along online, please do get involved in the chat. Leave your comments and let others know how Christmas is going for you. After the break, we'll be finding out how you can keep active, and we'll be seeing some of the people who've been supporting their communities this year. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Christmas Together. I'm Ria Hebden and we're sharing our Christmas together with you. Now, we all know we should stay physically active, but when we're busy, particularly at Christmas, it can be difficult to fit it all in. So I'm pleased to say that physiotherapist and writer Andy Loden is here to give us his expert tips on how we can stay fit, even in the depths of winter and under restrictions. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Ria.
Now, you are a bit of a fitness expert. Tell us, how can we motivate ourselves to exercise when we're just not feeling it?
I think it's one of those problems that happens all year, every year for most of us. But winter time, when it's dark outside, the weather's not great, you don't feel like going out very much. So what I try and do is I use the inspirations around the world that I work with and encounter. I work for Eleanor Hospice in Gravesend, and we work with a lot of people with life-limited conditions. And I watch them struggle with their lives and combating the diseases that they face, yet they still drag themselves out of bed every day to live their lives to the fullest. And I use that as my motivation to say, if these guys can do it, then really 10 minutes of exercise a day, that's not too much to ask.
And there are unexpected benefits of exercise as well, aren't they? Tell us about those.
Absolutely. Well, we know that muscles being strong and joints being flexible and even losing a little bit of weight is one of the benefits of exercise, but actually it can really help you sleep better at night. So a good amount of exercise each day can help you drop into a sleep quicker and you get a deeper sleep, so you end up energised the next morning. It also helps with your appetite. So if we're thinking about this festive period, we might want to be taking on 1 or 2 more mince pies than usual.
Absolutely.
But actually a bit of exercise will help to burn those calories off and also helps to aid that digestion. We've talked a lot about the lonely feelings, the anxieties, the stresses and depressions that are going on in the world at the moment. And exercise is a great way, in fact, probably the best way to combat those feelings. And actually, sometimes we feel a little bit flat with our energy, our batteries feel quite low, and you'd think the last thing you want to do is a bit of exercise. But actually taking on some exercise can help us boost those energy levels, recharge those batteries, and really feel like you can tackle the rest of the day. So rather than having your Christmas dinner and bloating out on the sofa afterwards.
Which is very tempting.
Absolutely. Why not just take yourself out for a 10-minute walk, bit of fresh air, get outside of the house, come back, be ready to play some family games or enjoy watching some Together TV. And
how do we need to invest in expensive exercise equipment and clothes? Do we need all of that, or can we just do it in our pyjamas?
Oh, I would always say get out of your pyjamas, because there is this thing we call PJ paralysis, and we've all suffered with that, where you sit around all day in your pyjamas, you don't really feel like doing anything. As soon as you get dressed, you suddenly do feel like doing something more, but it doesn't mean that you have to go out to the shops and spend a fortune. You don't even really need to invest in weights or anything like that. Personally, I get 2 empty bottles, milk cartons, fill them up with water, and they use them as weights. And the benefit is, once you need a drink, hydrate yourself, and it also makes the exercise that bit easier because you've just drunk some of the weight you have to lift. So you can kind of work around things that you have around the household, cans of beans, bags of flour. Just make sure that whatever you're using is good fastened to it, so that it doesn't spill everywhere.
Good shout. Okay, and you're going to show us some very simple exercises we can all try at home, aren't you?
Yes, hopefully so.
Okay, well, go easy on me because I'm in heels and a dress. What are we going to do?
Okay, well, first of all, I would always say if you're going to do a little bit of exercise, it's always nice to put some music on. You get a Christmas tune playing or one of your best tunes, so pop that on the stereo and start listening, because as soon as there's music in the air, you start bouncing around a little bit. But we're just going to start with a nice simple exercise that you can do if you're doing the Christmas turkey prep, or if you're going to do the washing up. We're just going to go up onto our toes and then we're going to come back down again. Now, a bit hard for you because you're already in your high heels, but we just go up onto the toes, hold for a few seconds and then come down, and that's just a good calf strengthening exercise. And the beauty of this is that you can do it if you're a bit unsteady on your feet, you need to balance yourself, then you can steady yourself on the kitchen counter. Then we're going to move on to a nice easy squat. So we're just going to bend down at the knees and then come back up again. Good. Nice and easy.
Ooh,
nothing too
wouldn't recommend
strenuous.
this in heels, guys.
Absolutely. Now, don't do this part, but if you're feeling particularly energetic, you can always launch off with a little jump, and that way you do a little bit more work and burn off a few more calories.
And what muscles is that working?
So what we're working here is we're working the big muscles in our legs. We're working our thigh muscles and our bottom muscles. Those are the ones that we really want to get toned so we look sharp in those New Year outfits that we want to try on in the sales. Next one we're going to go for is we're just going to do a high leg lift, step, step, forwards, and then the other leg. So it's, we go up with one leg, step, step, forwards. Lovely, perfect. And
Just
you can
remind
see
me
as
of,
soon as you start getting some
Zumba
rhythm,
class.
absolutely. As soon as you start getting some rhythm going, it starts to be a bit more fun. You don't feel like you're working too hard. Good. And then what we're just going to finish off with, a jump from one leg to the other. Now, you're on heels. I think give
I'll
this
leave
one a
that to
miss.
you.
But it's just a jump to the side and a jump to the side. So you're kind of doing a speed skater move. And you can hear that I'm starting to get a little bit out of breath. That's the kind of level of exercise that you want to start with and then gradually build it up. When you're doing exercise, really you want to be working at a moderate level, so you're slightly out of breath. You're able to just about talk, but not sing. If you're able to sing when you're exercising, you're probably not working hard enough. But that's always something that I get asked is, how hard should I be pushing myself? Feel a little bit out of breath, but not gasping.
That is great advice, Andy, and I'm asking everyone today, what does Christmas mean to you?
For Christmas, I think Christmas means memories to me. Memories. I think back to all the past Christmases and the amazing memories that you have from being a child, even to an adult, when you get kids of your own and you start making those new memories. So it's about memories for me.
Oh, it's lovely. Thank you so much, Andy. Now, since March, we've been running our You Are Not Alone campaign, reaching out to people who've been self-isolating and connecting them to help and support. So many people have been helping each other this year. Let's see how one community in Kent got on during the lockdown.
When you're my age and you're shielding, you've got the problem of wondering where it's safe to go. Is it safe to go outside your front door? Is it safe to go to the local supermarket? You know, this thing actually kills people. And that's what people have got to remember. People like me can't afford to take a gamble. You know, I've got underlying health conditions and, you know, it could be my number could be up. You know, just talking to you, my number could be up. You look a bit shifty.
Our main objective here at Who Cares is to tackle social isolation and loneliness. So it's been really sort of quite heartbreaking, really, to then say, actually, you need to go and stay in your home and you mustn't see anybody. One of our initiatives since the pandemic is we've got a community van that we take out. And when we stop to talk to people at their doorstep, some people haven't been out since Christmas last year. At the beginning of the pandemic, we managed to put some isolation packs together, we called them. And when we was dropping them at the doorstep, one lady actually burst into tears because she hadn't seen anybody for weeks.
I used to visit people, just keep them company, but when we went into the first lockdown, all of our visits had to be stopped. What Who Cares did was they replaced the visits with telephone befriending.
It's such a wonderful thing when people give their time. And if you've got time, be it just 1 hour during your week, that 1 hour can make such a difference to someone.
You know, and I'm prepared to do things like lockdown and so on. But the only reason I'm able to do that is because of this wonderful organisation, Who Cares? They do my shopping every week. So my concerns, my big worries about shopping, all of a sudden they've taken that problem from me. I've got a chap that phones me twice a week, Stuart, wonderful bloke. As far as I'm concerned, so long as I've got Who Cares, I'm okay.
Oh, just incredible to see the work being done there by some truly special people. And don't forget, if you're watching online, do get involved. You can chat to other viewers and share your thoughts on Christmas this year. Talking of which, let's head back upstairs to Nadine.
It's clear that even though this year may have been different, everyone is still doing their best to enjoy Christmas. We heard from Shirley, who told us Christmas is being with my sons and grandchildren, sharing happy meals and giving presents. And Dale, who told us I enjoy being on my own and with my dog. Don't forget that even though things can feel uncertain, you can always reach out. There is always someone who will be there to listen.
And with that, we're pretty much out of time. Thanks to all of our incredible guests and the stars of our films. Nadine, it's been great, hasn't it?
It's been brilliant, Ria.
Ah, fantastic. And thank you so much for watching. Now, to play us out with another Christmas classic, it's Gary Williams. And so from all of us here, we wish you a very Merry Christmas. Take it away, Gary.
Sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening. A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is a new bird. He sings a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job while you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire, face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Now in the meadow we can build a snowman and pretend that he's a circus clown. We'll have lots of fun with Mr. Snowman until the other kid is knock him down. When it snows, ain't it thrilling? When your nose gets a chillin', we'll frolic and play the Eskimo way, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland.